Good morning, dear students. Today, in the third part of our four-part video lecture series of opioid analgesics, we will discuss on classification of opioid drugs, their individual characteristics and their uses. So let us start there. Now, how to classify opioids? We need to understand that opioids are not a single compound. It consists of multiple types of derivatives. In this figure, you can see this is a plant of poppy. So this is the poppy capsule. And what happens is that the actual raw opium is the dried juice of the extract of the poppy capsule, Papaver somniferum. The raw opium is then used to prepare opium tincture. From the opium tincture, we get a lot of substances. Collectively, these substances are called opiates. Examples is morphine, codeine, thebaine, papaverine, noscapine, etc. Out of all these, morphine has a special property of analgesia. This has been discovered very early on in our history. So, researches has been going on to identify newer chemicals which shares the common property of morphine. That is, they also are morphine-like analgesics. These drugs are collectively called opioids. Now, these opioids can be natural origin or semi-synthetic origin which has been prepared in the lab, or it can be totally synthetic in origin. The natural examples of opioids are codeine and morphine. They are obtained directly from the opium extract. Semi-synthetic examples are from the codeine we can get pholcodeine, hydrocodone, ethyl morphine which shares common properties like codeine. And there are some other molecules like diacetyl morphine shares similar properties like morphine. So pholcodeine, ethyl morphine, hydrocodone, diacetyl morphine, oxycodone, these are the examples of semi-synthetic opioids. Coming to the synthetic part, and nowadays our laboratories mostly concentrate on synthetic opioids. Now we have a lot of range of drugs in this synthetic group. Number one and very important drug for you is pethidine, which shares many properties like morphine and which is the first choice after morphine. Another group is fentanyl and its congeners like alfentanil, remifentanil, sufentanil, etc. Thirdly, we have methadone and dextropropoxifen. Methadone is very much used in opioid addicts, but dextropropoxifen is banned in India. Other group of drugs like tramadol and tapentadol or morphinans like levorphanol or butorphanol are also coming under synthetic opioids. This is how we classify opioids. So this is a very common question that is asked in your professional examination, how to classify opioids. So you classify according to the source of origin, natural, semi-synthetic and synthetic. Now we will discuss these drugs one by one. Coming to the codeine and its related compounds. By related compounds, I mean pholcodeine, hydrocodone, ethyl morphine, etc. All these compounds have one common property, that it depresses cuff center. So they act as an antitussive compounds. Codeine is less potent and less efficacious than morphine. It is a partial agonist at mu opioid receptor. As it is less potent and less efficacious, it is a weaker analgesic but only can relieve mild to moderate pain. But its special property is cuff suppression property at subanalgesic dose, produces significant antitussive effect, and thus codeine and its related compounds are included a lot of different types of cough syrups to alleviate or reduce coughing. The analgesics property of codeine is genetically determined. That means is metabolized in our body by cytochrome P450 enzyme system, more specifically cytochrome 2D6. This CYP2D6 metabolizes codeine into morphine, which produces its analgesics activity. Now, if some patients have deficiency of this particular isoenzyme CYP2D6, it will not produce morphine from codeine. Thereby, the patient will not experience analgesia. This is genetic polymorphism of codeine metabolism. Oxycodone is another example of synthetic codeine. It is administered orally and it is combined with some NSAIDs, non-opioids analgesics like paracetamol, to treat moderate to severe pain. There is a sustained release formulation also available for oxycodone for long-term treatment of chronic pain like neuropathic pain. Another example of semisynthetic derivative is heroin. Now, heroin is actually diacetyl morphine, but it is much more potent than morphine, but characteristically it has a high addicting and euphoriant property, mood elevating property, and it is not used as a drug, rather it is used as a substance of abuse by the addicts. Coming to synthetic opioids like pethidine. Pethidine is also known as meperidine. This pethidine do not have any cough suppressants or antitussive activity like codeine and related compound. And it is less likely than morphine to cause constipation. We have already known one of the most important adverse effect of morphine is constipation. Pethidine will produce less constipation. It also does not prolong labor as much as morphine does. So, it is safer in a case of obstetric labor pain. A major part of pethidine is metabolized, that is hydrolyzed to meperidinic acid, and a small fraction is demethylated to produce norpethidine. Now, the interesting thing about norpethidine is it has central nervous system stimulant or excitant property. So, thereby, it can precipitate epileptic seizure. Pethidine should not be used along with monoamine oxidase inhibitor. This is a particular group of drugs which inhibits the enzyme monoamine oxidase. The non-selective inhibitor of this monoamine oxidase prevents hydrolysis of pethidine to meperidinic acid, and thereby all of the pethidine is now demethylated to norpethidine, which has excitant property. So it can produce seizure. Also, pethidine is known to cause serotonin syndrome if used with selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor or SSRI group of drugs due to accumulation of excess serotonin because of the both group of drugs in synapses. Pethidine's use is as an alternative to morphine. Generally, it is the analgesics of choice in obstetric or post-surgical cases. It has nowadays being used to control shivering of the patient during recovery from the anesthesia and during IV infusion setup. Now, this one question has come previously in your university exam is to comparison between pethidine and morphine. Pethidine is somewhat different than morphine with respect to analgesics potency. It is only 1/10 of that of the strength of morphine. Its onset of action is much more rapid but shorter than morphine after intramuscular injection. Pethidine is not effective in suppressing cough center, so it is not used as a cough suppressant. It causes less spasm of smooth muscles. The morphine is known to cause biliary and other smooth muscle spasm. Pethidine causes less spasm, it causes less meiosis and constipation and urinary retention. So overall, major drawbacks of morphine is prevented in pethidine. Less biliary spasm than morphine prefers pethidine in treating cholecystitis or biliary colic pain. Pethidine causes tachycardia due to stimulation of antimuscarinic action rather than bradycardia seen in morphine. It causes less non-immunological histamine release from mast cell, and that is why it is safer in asthmatics than morphine. It does not prolong labor compared to morphine, that's why it is used more in obstetric analgesia. But keep in mind, it is equally sedative and euphoriant and equally respiratory depressant and same abuse potential like that of morphine. This is what you should write if the question comes a comparative analysis between morphine and pethidine. Now there are some group of drugs known as fentanyls and its derivatives like remifentanil. They are synthetic in nature but highly potent, almost 100 times than that of morphine. One of the derivatives of fentanyl is carfentanil, which is used as a tranquilizing agent for darts, which is used to sedate larger animals like even elephant in zoos and in wild. Normally, this particular group of drug have high first pass metabolism, that's why it don't have any oral formulation. But instead they are having some other routes of administrations like long acting transdermal patch like a band-aid. Okay, this skin patch provides continuous drug delivery under the skin and there is continuous pain relief for the patient who is suffering from a chronic type of pain like cancer or terminal illness. Another route of administration is mucosal, buccal and nasal spray, which are used to quickly relieve acute type of pain. Now parenteral administration like IV and IM preoperatively and postoperatively is used as an adjunct to general anesthetics. Remifentanil is of particular importance because of its ultra rapid onset of action within 1 minute and very early recovery from the effect of drug within 5 minutes. That's why this particular drug is very much helpful for short-term procedure pain relief and outpatient surgery. Now methadone is a special drug. It is also a synthetic opioids and full mu opioid receptor agonist and similar properties like that of morphine. Then why it is so important? Because the most important feature of methadone is its firm binding to the tissue proteins. What do I mean by that? When you give methadone on repeated administration, these drugs goes and binds to different tissues strongly, and after that it gets slowly released from that tissue as if the tissue is acting as a depot for that drug. For this reason, the duration of action of methadone is prolonged. It is because of this particular property there is less chance of severe withdrawal syndromes like morphine. We already know if we withdraw morphine in a patient who is already very much dependent on this particular drug, our system cannot adapt so much quickly, and if we remove that drug from the patient, there are severe withdrawal reactions. This is not the case with the use of methadone, which has a prolonged duration of action and our body's tissue acts as a depot for that drug. That is why this drug has less abuse liability, means less chance of addiction, and slow tolerance development for this particular drug. Then how can we use this particular property of this drug? We can use this methadone in two kind of setting. Number one, substitution therapy. This means those drug addicts who are already dependent on morphine, heroin or pethidine, we first substitute those drugs with methadone, then slowly withdraw methadone, thereby there is no chance of withdrawal reaction. Number two, we can give maintenance therapy of methadone in opioid addicts. Now if we give long-term oral methadone in a drug addict who is already receiving IV dose of morphine and heroin, there is high degree of tolerance that will develop. So the patient will not get the pleasure or kick of that IV drug and later will be disinterested in continuing IV morphine or other opioids drugs therapy. Thereby, after all this happens, we can remove methadone from the system. The person gives up the habit. This is how we use methadone. There is a question that comes in your university exam about the role of methadone in morphine withdrawal or morphine dependence. What is asked actually is how methadone can help in opioids addicts. This is same as what we have discussed just now. Methadone, having a firm binding to tissue protein, accumulates in the tissue and which acts as a depot. Now there is a slow release of the drug over the long period of time. Plasma T-half is 24 to 36 hours, and thereby sedative and subjective effects are less intense. Like other opioids like morphine, sedation and mood elevating euphoriant actions, these are not seen. And because of the longer duration of action, methadone is incapable of giving a pleasurable kick which an opioid addict seeks. The abuse potential is lower than that of morphine. There is a slow development of tolerance in case of methadone. Withdrawal syndrome is very gradual and taking 1 to 2 days after discontinuation, very less severe, which is safer in case of opioid addicts. That is why methadone is beneficial in a case of morphine withdrawal or dependence. Another type of synthetic opioids is tramadol and its congener tapentadol. They are somewhat considered atypical opioids because of their dual mechanism of actions, both opioids and non-opioids types of mechanism of action. As an opioid, it is a mu opioid receptor agonist. But there are some non-opioid mechanism. It inhibits presynaptic neuronal uptake of serotonin and norepinephrine. Thereby, it potentiates the inhibitory actions of serotonin and norepinephrine on pain transmission in spinal cord. If you can remember, in our last class, we have discussed the descending pathway of pain transmission, where we discussed nucleus rhammagnus, locus coeruleus and rostral ventral medulla are responsible for giving serotonergic and norepinephrinergic neurotransmission to the spinal cord interneurons. By inhibiting reuptake of norepinephrine and serotonin, they potentiate the descending pain modulatory pathway, thereby acting as a strong analgesics. They also have very less adverse effects as compared to the other opioid drugs like respiratory depression, sedation, constipation, urinary retention, etc. Common adverse effect is nausea and vomiting. There is an increased chance of suicidal thoughts and behavior because of the tampering with a neurotransmitter like serotonin and norepinephrine. They are contraindicated in epileptics because they lower seizure potential. They can cause serotonin syndrome with concurrent selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor drugs. So where they are used orally to treat moderate type of pain, not mild, not very severe. This pain is generally due to diagnostic procedures, injuries, surgeries, and some chronic pain conditions like cancer pain. They are not effective in severe type of pain. Tapentadol, it only blocks norepinephrine but does not tamper with serotonin. So apart from mu opioid receptor blocker, it also inhibits reuptake of norepinephrine only. It has less nausea and better tolerated than tramadol. Now this is a very important question for you. What are the indications, means usage of morphine and its all type of derivative that we have discussed, like codeine and its related compounds, like fentanyls, like pethidines, like methadone, etc. So the most important indications of opioid drugs is analgesia. What kind of analgesia? Generally, opioid analgesics are used for deep and moderate to severe kind of pain. Normally, toothache, headache, arthralgia are considered mild to moderate pain. Here, NSAIDs are the first choice rather than weaker opioids like codeine, oxycodone, tramadol, tapentadol, etc. It can be used in severe type of pain also, where opioid receptors works much better. We use fentanyl, meperidine or pethidine, methadone and morphine in this type of pain. Number one is morphine is used in cases of traumatic injuries like crash injury in a road traffic accident or visceral ischemic type of pain like myocardial infarction or post-operative pain, pain of burn patient, pain of terminal illness like cancer, renal and biliary colic due to stone formation. In this kind of pain, morphine and some of its congeners can be used. Pethidine is particularly beneficial in case of pain during labor, that is obstetric analgesia. Apart from analgesia, there are pre-anesthetic uses of these opioid drugs like morphine and pethidine. In case of balanced anesthesia and surgical anesthesia, fentanyl and its congener or morphine is used. Morphine, apart from doing analgesia, it also causes relief on anxiety and apprehension in a case of myocardial infarction or any kind of internal hemorrhage. These particular opioid group of drugs has a very important role in acute left ventricular heart failure or acute pulmonary edema. We will discuss this later. Many opioids are cough center suppressants, so non-productive cough is often alleviated with codeine, dextromethorphan and related compounds. In case of diarrhea, as this particular group of drug reduces peristalsis, so in case of diarrhea, codeine, loperamide or diphenoxylate, these type of opioids are often used. There are two questions that often comes in your second prof MBBS. Why morphine is used in acute myocardial infarctions? There are three reasons behind it. First of all, analgesia. To reduce deep kind of pain generated in ischemic myocardium, we use morphine. But secondly and very importantly, we need to understand, apart from reducing pain, it also reduces anxiety and apprehension, the fear of dying in a case of myocardial infarction. If the patient gets very much anxious, this will indirectly increases cardiac work. It will cause palpitation and sympathetic stimulations overall. That will increase cardiac work. So that is why morphine reduces this sympathetic overactivity as a reflex action and reduces anxiety apprehension, keeps the patient calm. Thirdly, it decreases the overall peripheral vascular resistance. Thereby, it has some anti-ischemic property which helps to reduce cardiac work. So these three important reasons why we use morphine in acute myocardial infarction. Another question very commonly asked in your exam is why morphine is used in acute left ventricular failure or acute pulmonary edema. Actually, acute pulmonary edema is a consequence of acute left ventricular failure. Why do we use morphine there? Acute LVH or acute pulmonary edema is not associated with pain. Here, the role of morphine is not that of analgesics. First of all, as like previous case, it reduces preload on heart due to vasodilation, decrease in peripheral resistance and peripheral pooling of blood. That will help in acute LVH. Secondly, if you can remember, just like loop diuretics, morphine also shifts blood from pulmonary to systemic circulation, thereby relieves the pulmonary congestions and edema so that patients can breathe freely. Thirdly, as it depresses respiratory central nervous central nervous system, it reduces air hunger and dyspnea by the patient. Finally, it also reduces sympathetic stimulation, as we have discussed in the last case with AMI also. It keeps calm. It keeps the patient calm and thereby reduces cardiac work. All these four reasons are directly or indirectly helpful in reducing the signs and symptoms of acute left ventricular failure or acute pulmonary edema. It is not the analgesia that the morphine is used for. It is used for reducing overall cardiac work.